and welcome to Lean and Clean with Fitness Chef Christine. I am your host, Christine, having a lot of technical difficulties and a little craziness today, but I am so happy we are joined by my good friend, Naomi Holbrook, who is in England, and she is going to tell us about her programs. She is marvelous at working with ladies in midlife. So Naomi, tell us what you're doing.
Bless you, Christine. We all have those days, right? Where technology doesn't go right, the brain doesn't quite connect, it all happens. But we get there in the end. And I think that's an important message to start off with.
Truth.
Yeah, so I am a transformation mentor, and you said there about midlife, but it's really interesting. The last few years, I have worked with women in midlife, predominantly going through the changes. And I'm not just talking about the menopause changes, but also the psychological changes that we go through in midlife when we start to reevaluate where we are, what we've done, what we still want to achieve. But maybe also we're going through some changes in our career. We're also maybe going through some changes in relationships, but also obviously the physical, mental, and emotional changes with the wonders of menopause. Having said that, I have had more and more women coming to me that are now only in their 30s, not in menopause, but saying to me, everything you talk about speaks to me too, but I'm not in menopause, so can I still work with you? And the answer is yes, because I actually don't think it is necessarily about menopause. I think that we are on the cusp of an evolution. A lot of women waking up finally after a lot of us have spent years and decades believing stories that others have told us, believing that we're not good enough.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah, we've all been there. And I was there up until 10 years ago. I'm 49 now, but at 39, I was clinically obese. I was pre-diabetic, chronic pain, had been battling depression from the age of around 12, 13, when my mum was diagnosed with a chronic illness and then subsequently died. And I spent 25 years yo dieting in a place of lack of confidence, low self-belief. I had a very successful career and everybody thought that I was this confident, independent woman, but the story behind the mask was completely different. And that's what I help
totally relate.
Yeah. And I don't think I think there's very few women that don't relate to that story. Most of the women that come to me have at some point in their life struggled with confidence, struggled with their mental health, their physical health, their weight. And it's not always about the weight, but quite often what I know now from my personal experience and professional is that weight quite often is a symptom of other things that are going on.
Yeah, it's all tied together.
Absolutely. And so often what we do is we do the diet because we want to lose the weight, or we take the painkillers because we want to get rid of the chronic pain, or we take the antidepressants because we want to get rid of the depression. But all those things are just masking. They're just an elastoplast. They're just putting this kind of seal over the top. But as I always say, at some point, the water washes the elastoplast off and you're still left with all the gunk underneath. You've still got the scab. You've still got to treat what's going on, what the root cause is.
And this is my problem with medicine. You go to the doctor and you explain to them, this is how I'm feeling. And they say, here's this prescription, here's this prescription, here's this prescription. And at the end of the day, you end up feeling worse. You end up feeling like you're a failure because you've taken all this medicine and you're still not well. It makes me crazy.
And also, Christine, who do we trust? We trust medical profession because from a young age
I don't.
Well, okay, we did because, and look, 10 years ago, I was on antidepressants. I was on incredibly high opioids, which I was technically addicted to. I was on antidepressants. I was on sleeping tablets. I was on anti-anxiety. I was on all these different things. And yet I still felt crap. And I still had depression, and I was still overweight, and I still had chronic pain. And that's what I work with in my programs is I work on a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So I treat the whole woman, the whole self, or I help them to treat their whole self. There is no tablet, there is no pill that will cure any of those things. It's all about lifestyle and habits and behaviors And I have tons and tons of women that come to me on antidepressants, and some within 4 weeks of being in my program, some maybe longer. They say to me, gosh, for the first time in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, I feel like I want to come off of them. And obviously I'm not a doctor, so I let them do that with their doctor's approval. But I've had so many women come off antidepressants and feel better than they have in years. Yeah, I know,
That's
right?
my favorite. That's my favorite. Woo, woo. Tell me how long of, I know you have a short program, you have longer programs, but what are the lengths of the programs?
So I have at
How
the
long
moment,
do they go?
yeah, my midlife
Mhm.
transformation program is 4 months, and that works with me in different ways, whether it's one-to-one weekly, one-to-one monthly, and that's a 4 month program. And when I say it's quite an intense program, it really is a life transforming program. And then a
Right.
couple of times a year, I run a 6 week group mentorship where I have a cohort of ladies that all come in together, and they literally do this 6 week group program together. They become this lovely kind of like little community. And so I run those probably twice, maybe 3 times a year with my sort of 6 week programs.
Love that. And do you find that most of the ladies are professionals, or are they just have their own businesses? What kind of people? I know that you attract a wide variety of ladies, but is there a trend that you see?
To be honest, a mixture of both. It used to be predominantly professionals, so career women, but honestly, a little bit of a mixture. And I have a lot more female entrepreneurs coming through to me now, business owners rather than working in businesses. I've also worked with corporations who want to bring me in to help and support their female staff. And I think this is something that is becoming, there's obviously things in the UK predominantly, and I don't know whether it's the same out in the US, but there are governing bodies now that are saying that big companies, depending on the size of them, they have to start taking responsibility for women that are potentially in perimenopause and menopause, because the statistics are that 50% of women are walking out of their careers
Yes.
in perimenopause or menopause because they can't cope. And eight years ago, aged 41, I walked out of my 21-year career. I had no plan B. I had been battling the worst mental health in my 30 years of having depression and everything. I was having regular panic attacks. I couldn't cope in the job that I was in. I was struggling with everything. And I honestly thought every day that I was going to get fired. I was just so anxious. And I guess I jumped. I literally was like, I can't do this anymore. I've got nothing in the backup plan, but I've just got to leave and change my life here. And
But I think that's so brave. So brave. And that's the thing about ladies that sign up for programs like yours. It takes a bit of bravery to put yourself out there and to try something that you haven't tried before. But you have a proven record of making it work for these ladies. And I want to encourage my audience to get in touch with you. And I'll leave in the show notes at the end a way for everybody to get in contact with you so they can find out more how this would work for them. And I think it's well worth your time, people, to do this. Ladies, it's time to take control of your lives. I know for myself, uh, I was also in perimenopause when I decided that a change needed to happen. And it was the best decision I ever made because I did it through self-education. I took all the classes, nutrition classes, exercise classes, got certified, all that stuff. But had I not done that, it kept going and going, kept getting worse and worse. It was like a snowball. It just kept getting bigger and bigger, and to the point where I was like, I don't know what to do. I felt trapped. And I'm sure that's how you felt too. And we're not alone. I talk to ladies every day, and I know it is such a struggle and it's embarrassing. You don't feel good about yourself. You don't want to tell anybody you don't feel good about yourself. Joining these communities helps you feel like, hey, I'm not alone. This isn't just me. This is a thing. Everybody's feeling this way. And so I love the work that you do. I'm always a cheerleader on the sidelines saying, yeah, you go,
I know
go.
you are.
But
And
I think
I think well, you just said a couple of things there that I think really hit home for me, especially after a couple of conversations I've had this last couple of days. So many women put things off. We're all guilty of it. Not so much anymore because I know what that fear is. It's all to do with our comfort zone. But so many women say it's not the right time. They're too busy. They'll do it when things settle down. And the whole point is doing it when everything is crazy is the right time to do it, because you need the tools, you need the strategies, you need that help and
Right.
support. And I know for me at 49, and I'm now stepping from perimenopause really close in towards menopause now. I know that if this had been 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and I had not sorted out my health, my mindset, all these other things, I would be having a really rocky ride right now. And I'm also in what I call that next stage of life, parenting the parent. I have a 90-year-old dad who I've just relocated to live really close to me from a couple of
So
100 miles
amazing.
away. And we're going through early stages of dementia. And me being in my best health and my best self is giving him the support that he needs. If I wasn't in that situation, then this would probably be a pretty difficult scenario to be in.
For sure. And I'd like to remind everybody, you can't pour from an empty cup. If you all your emotional baggage is weighing you down and you're still trying to manage everybody else in your life, helping your kids, helping your grandkids, and there is nothing left for you, you're not going to be your best.
Yeah.
Invest the time it takes to better yourself, and you can better help everybody else. When you're on an airplane, they say put your oxygen mask on first before trying to help everybody else. But somewhere in our society, whether it's the US or the UK, it's the same. We are programmed to be the helpers, to be the person that is there for everybody else. And I've had to take a step back myself as a grandmother. I love my daughter, I love my grandson, but sometimes I say, I can't do that today. And that's a hard thing to do. But it's also important to prioritize yourself and make sure that your own mental health and your own physical health is where it needs to be so that you can be your best.
Yeah.
And I will say, I was in perimenopause when I went through my transformation, and now I'm postmenopause. And although I have the tools, I'm not going to lie, I still struggle. The struggle never goes away, but then you have the tools to rein yourself back in and say, okay, wait a minute, I'm getting off track again. And you have to turn. And so while I was coaching a lot of ladies, I pulled back from that because there wasn't enough time for me, and I need that me time. And this is why I bring you on, because you're somebody I trust and will do right by these ladies. And I think that's very important. I know a ton of coaches, and everybody I know is fantastic, but everybody brings that special flavor. And I love what you do with ladies in midlife. And I'm so honored that you came on today. And I so encourage everybody to contact you because it's a lonely struggle.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was the final point I was going to make when you said about that. I have so many women come to me and they have so many friends, and this was the same for me. I had incredible friends around me, but I never, ever, even some of them were my best friends that I'd known for 30 years from school. I never shared with them the internal struggles I was going through. And you mentioned the word embarrassed, and I felt embarrassed and ashamed that I
Yes.
couldn't look after my own mental health and my physical health. And this is something, when women come into my inner circle community, where my members are, where I coach, where I mentor, the first thing they say is, oh my gosh, it is so liberating and comforting to hear and be amongst other women. Even though they all have these incredible friends, we're not always very honest with our friends and our family. We tell them what we
Truth.
think they want to hear.
Or we just surface level. We have fun and we just concentrate on that part of it. It's
Yeah.
very, we're running in it's such a society that's on the run all the time. And sometimes you don't have time for those meaningful, deep down discussions. And you're busy asking them how their family is, how their job is, or whatever. We never get to the nitty gritty. So that's why it's important to make time for that.
Yeah.
I think.
Vital.
How can someone get in touch with you? How can someone get in touch with you? I know you have a free Facebook group.
I do indeed. So I'll give you all the links so that you can put them in the show notes. But I
Yes.
am on Facebook, just Naomi Holbrook. I'm on Instagram, Naomi_midlife_mentor.
I know.
I'm on LinkedIn, just Naomi Holbrook. The only thing I am not on, I cannot bring myself, I know I have to at some point, is TikTok. But
Okay, I'm going to tell you my honest truth. It's a garbage wasteland. I did it for about a month. First of all, it sucks you into watching all kinds of crazy stuff. Couldn't understand it because there's like a shopping thing. I don't know. To me, I don't think it's worth it.
no.
And I don't support the same values that they do. So for me, I was like, you know what? I'm going to stick to what I know and
Yeah.
believe in. I just stopped using it. I deleted it off my phone. It can really suck you in, but I have enough.
Facebook,
I'm good.
Instagram, LinkedIn. Those are my main places that I hang out.
Yeah, I do use Pinterest, and although I got suspended from Pinterest, I don't know what happened.
Oh,
I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel. So I don't know, but yes, all these different ways we can get in touch. And I will again put them in the show notes. And I'm just excited that you get to meet with everybody. And I will post about it on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and get the word out. And so
amazing.
everyone will have your contact information. And on a
Oh,
personal level, I'm just so happy that you're here. And I just want to thank my audience for being with us today. I hope that you'll take the time to listen to what Naomi has to say. It is really important. I absolutely appreciate everybody listening. I pray for you. I wish you all a beautiful day, a beautiful Holy Week coming into Easter. And I will be with you next Wednesday. Love to all. Stop our
thanks so much for having me.
I can figure out. Absolutely. It was fabulous.
Oh,
I